Microsoft shares are up more than 1%. And joining us for more on the changes at Microsoft and the state of Apple is Deaux, who is an economics analyst at The Street. Joe, thank you for joining us.
Karina, thanks as always.
Let's start with Microsoft and the big news. Of course, they laid off 18,000 of their employees. Was this necessary for Microsoft really to go in the direction it needs to?
I mean, I'm not sure if it was necessary. Obviously, they had to do something, right? So it was 18,000, right, or was 17,000, right? I'm not so sure. But obviously, when we saw the earnings report come out today, it was Nokia that dragged down what was expected. I mean, outside of that, we saw pretty good numbers. Most analysts are saying, yeah, this was pretty much in line with expectations if you exclude how much Nokia was pulling back on the company.
All right, well, these job cuts are also going to affect Chinese workers. The company announced that it's going to be shifting its manufacturing base, a large part of it, from China to Vietnam, ostensibly because they've got lower labor costs in Vietnam. But the company also said it's because they want to be closer to their customers for the Microsoft phones. Why has Microsoft not been able to penetrate the market in China?
You know, it's interesting. Microsoft has had trouble with China for years. Ballmer had a lot of trouble trying to make any inroads in there whatsoever, and it just doesn't seem like Microsoft had taken the right steps to really come on as a major player in the area. Obviously, mobile is huge in China. They haven't made inroads there. I mean, they go out and they purchase Nokia because, you know, Windows 8 comes out and it's a cross-platform operating system. Doesn't really work out here in the States. Obviously, doesn't hold on into China. I mean, Apple really is the smallest player there. They have 6% of that market share, and Microsoft nowhere near it.
Nowhere near. So is Microsoft writing China off?
I don't know if Microsoft wants to say they're writing China off. You can't write China off. But obviously, they're trying to see if they can shift elsewhere and maybe just skim a little bit off you know, the bottom and top line to help themselves out on those earnings reports.
Okay, now you mentioned Apple, 6% of the smartphone market share in China, not very high. Why is Apple having difficulty in China?
Well, I think Apple, you know, are they really having difficulty? Maybe so. But they also aren't really going after this kind of middle line consumer in China. They are, of course, you know, really on the high end, the executives, you know, Chinese government officials. That's where they're getting most of their revenue.
Their phone's over $500. They have 80% of that market.
Exactly.
So is that what they care about?
I think that's what they care about right now. They obviously said, oh, we're not too worried right now in China. We think things are going pretty well. Obviously, you know, in the media, we will talk about, okay, well, we have new players, you know, Xiaomi coming in. Of course, Samsung had a little bit of a hit in China, but still a major player there. So is China taking a major, is Apple taking a major hit? Probably not. I think right now they seem pretty confident where they are.
Okay, so you mentioned Xiaomi, and they've just come out with the Mi 4. The company's CEO said, you know, we're better than Apple. Is Apple concerned about this, or is this all about, you know, bravado from the CEO?
I think it's bravado. Apple obviously will keep an eye on it. I mean, it's a new competitor coming in with a pretty decent phone. I mean, the processing, you know, power on this new Mi 4 comes out. It's the equivalent of the $650 iPhone 5S. But they're clearly going after, you know, other players in this space, Huawei. They're going after Samsung that do hit that middle market, you know, middle income Chinese consumer. And I think that's really what they're going for.
Right, because the Mi 4 is it's less than half of what the iPhone 5 is,
$320
right?
about, yeah.
Okay. So also there's a report in CCTV about iPhones being potentially a threat to Chinese national security. We haven't seen much really happen in terms of regulation from the Chinese government yet. But is this something that Apple is concerned about?
I think they're going to keep their eye on it. I mean, anytime you hear Chinese officials come out or the Chinese government come out and have some sort of criticism, especially of any U.S. company, they keep an eye on it. It's a market that they want to be in. They don't want to be suddenly shooed out of the market. They're going to keep an eye on this. You know, maybe it's just a quick shot across the bow, but obviously they're going to be looking at these location services that, you know, the government is complaining about.
Right. Okay. And lastly, just want to talk about the share price. Apple. I mean, a lot of people have written Apple off as a growth company. They're looking at more as something that is more long-term play that you know, is not really going to grow as much. But yet we've seen the share price rise 18% year to date. S&P is up about 7%. So that's more than double the broader market. What's driving the shares higher right now?
Well, obviously, share buybacks have been helping out the top and bottom line, and a lot of investors like that. You saw a pretty good fiscal second quarter come out of Apple, but right now, what we're really looking at is the fiscal fourth quarter when that iPhone 6 is supposed to come out, and I think really that's what Apple is looking forward to.
And it's all about size.
It's about size. That's what we're looking at. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Deaux. That's Deaux from The Street. Thanks for joining us.